have your first and last name, please, if that's okay, for those of you that are now entering the room. My name is Hazel. I do community outreach for the Alzheimer's Association. And again, if you get an opportunity, please just type in the chat your first name, last name, and zip code if you get a chance. It just really helps us track how many people we're connecting with and in what communities. And with that, I'll go ahead and hand it off to our amazing volunteer, Debbie Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you, Hazel. Hello, everybody. My name is Deb Lowry Johnson, and I am a volunteer for the Alzheimer's Association. And why do I volunteer? I volunteer because volunteers live longer. I want to see what happens, you know, in the next several years. I retired from the city of Everett as the director for the senior center, and we got so much done because of volunteers, and I know that they are critical. So I'm here to volunteer, and I recently received a degree with Toastmasters. It's called a Distinguished Toastmaster level, and pretty proud to get it. So I thought, you know, now that I'm retired, I better use it for a really good purpose. Prior to running a senior center, I was in retail fine jewelry. So I told people when I started working with seniors that for 23 years, I dealt with precious gems. And now that I run the senior center and I volunteer, I deal with precious gems that talk back. So I would like to share with you today our program on healthy living for your brain and your body. Now, why would you, hello?
Yes.
I don't know why anybody would just like think, well, I'm going to get ready just in case I get Alzheimer's. Whoa, 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 whoa. We don't know what else is going on, you know, but we do want to be healthy for various reasons. We never know, you know, what that next door might open. What I'd like to share with you is a lady that used to come to the Carl Gibson Senior Center of Everett, and her name was Nelda. And Nelda had been diagnosed with macular degeneration, and she thought it was really a curse because she had been a bookkeeper all of her life, and she loved working with numbers. And as the macular degeneration took over her vision, she knew that she was going to have to be prepared so that she would always be a lady. She always was just dressed to the nines. Her hair was always done nice. Her clothes always matched. Her jewelry always matched. But how did she do that? She really prepared for it. So she learned that if you took the tags out of all your navy blue clothes, those were navy blue. You left your tags in if they were black. You had jewelry that you left a tag on, and it was all done by feel. But she had to prepare for that. She kept her mind sharp by doing crossword puzzles with another lady who had been a teacher for years. So she prepared for having her vision when she wouldn't have it. And that's the same thing with any of our health. We don't ever know what we have until it's gone. So there's several reasons why we want to take care of ourselves. And there's 4 main learning objectives that we're going to share with you today. And these are the areas that we'd like you to focus on: your physical health and exercise, your diet and nutrition, cognitive activity, and social engagement. So you'll want to make your own plan, and you'll want to integrate them, and you can do them all at once. You can be in an exercise group, make friends in the group afterwards and sit and visit with them and drink lots of water. You can talk about the latest newspaper article that you've read and engage socially. And I found that to be true when I was a director at the senior center. They would exercise to enhance fitness, stretch and tone, and sit and be fit. And then afterwards, they'd sit and talk about what was going on with their grandkids or what's going on in the world. And sometimes they would eat healthy, and sometimes it was time to celebrate somebody's birthday. So these are our objectives today, and I hope that we can cover them just enough for you to think about it. Now, aging well depends not just on those 4 things that we just talked about, but it also depends on your genes and your environment and your lifestyle. And lifestyle choices can help you and your body and your brain stay connected. And the key word in this lifestyle choices is may. There's no guarantee in our life as far as what will and won't work. But through research, we're finding that living well depends on your genes and your environment and your lifestyle. But again, that key word is may. The brain is a pretty interesting function when you think of our head. And you know, it's not all that large, and it's not all that heavy, and it has a lot of work to do. 100 billion nerve cells or neurons creating a branch of a network. And I'd love for you to think about this. And this was shared with me years ago. If you have a cobweb and it's the size of a pipe, and the pipe weighs 1 pound, and you have enough cobweb to weigh 1 pound, that cobweb with those intertwinings will be much stronger than 1 pound of pipe. There's signals traveling through the brain, like the cobwebs just traveling, through our brain, forming memories and thoughts and feelings. And the sad thing about all these thoughts and feelings is that Alzheimer's disease can destroy those brain cells. And that's why Alzheimer's Association exists. We want to stop the destruction of the brain cells. Now, the brain is, it's the center of the body. What the heart does, the brain does. What the blood flow does, the brain does. It's pretty interesting when you sit down and look at the body, and if you focus, if you can see the red spot on that brain and look at there's several little paths on that right now. And then you can see where possibly the brain can start to shrink. The heart and the brain are interrelated. What you do to protect your heart can also help protect your brain. And the brain needs blood flow. The brain also depends on oxygen and adequate blood flow to work really well. 25% of your blood from every heartbeat goes to the brain. And if you're thinking, gosh, how many beats per minute do I get? How much blood is getting to your brain? And you look at this cobweb up on the screen and you go, oh, that does look like a cobweb. Can you imagine that those are so intertwined to have so many billions of neurons interconnected? Wow. I find that really, really fascinating. Now, dementia and Alzheimer's, everyone thinks they are interrelated, and in a way that they are, but dementia is caused by many different diseases and conditions. And excuse me?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm here.
And dementia is not a normal part of aging. And I remember when my grandmother she had vascular dementia, and we just thought, oh, she just has hardening of the arteries. That's something what old people get. You don't have to get it. You don't have to get it. However, Alzheimer's disease is the most common cause of dementia. If you think about a dementia umbrella with lots of spokes coming out of it, one of those spokes happens to be dementia. And the risk for Alzheimer's and dementia include age, even though there can be early onset dementia, and genetics. Did grandma have Alzheimer's? Did your twin brother have Alzheimer's? Did your mother have it? Is that why there's a fear? So right now with healthy body, healthy brain, this is really how you can possibly prevent it. Did you have a head injury? And what happened? In 1994, I was coming home from work after a 16-hour day in fine jewelry, and I had a closed head injury. And I looked pretty normal, and I remember a boss saying, oh yeah, you're just working it for all it's worth. But then when I started driving back to Tacoma to see my mother and coming back, all of a sudden, the I-5 circuit that I had driven for many years looked totally different. I was waiting for all these little cobwebs to reconnect. And that's what happens with a head injury, a blunt force, and things will separate. There are cardiovascular factors regarding your heart and your brain. Those are two things to really think about. They work together. Just because you have a PhD Doesn't mean that you're not going to get Alzheimer's. However, when you have had extensive education, whether it's in college or study groups that are not necessarily part of college, they are finding that the stimulation of the brain is very, very helpful. But what I have known is that just because you have a PhD or a master's does not mean that you might not get it. The therapies for Alzheimer's can treat the symptoms for a time, but they can't cure it, prevent it, or even slow the disease progression. This disease is so cruel. It kind of takes its own, I call it the I-5 circuit, or maybe the slow road, or not on the express lanes, but it can't slow this disease once it gets a hold. Again, taking care of yourself as you age is critical. Doing the cognitive activity, staying engaged socially, staying engaged with physical health and exercise, and especially with diet and nutrition. I'll share a little story with you about my daughter. She has a 5, 8, and 10-year-old. And of course, they come home from school and they're starving. So what she has trained them is, okay, does it come in a wrapper or do you have to peel it? You come home from school, you can have all the treats that you want if you have to peel them. However, if it's in a wrapper, it's a no-go for now, basically, because there would be sugar in those. So if it's in a wrapper, just disregard it. So think about that, a wrapper or a peel. Something that you want to know about social engagement also. Social engagement cannot necessarily be just visiting with somebody. It can maybe be a Saturday night together playing cards with friends, or playing a board game where there is some kind of interaction. Physical exercise, I'll go back to it just for a second. The physical exercise can be in the form of a board game if you get one that's really active. So taking care of yourself as you age, sometimes you have more time to take care of yourself, but in the long run, if you didn't take care of yourself when you were younger, you're going to pay for it when you're older. So just remember that. Being 71, I think I look back going, oh gosh, there's a few things I should have done. Cardiovascular activity is a pretty serious issue, but regular and vigorous exercise leads to increased blood flow. And there can be other things. It doesn't necessarily have to be doing hard cardio, but there's also dancing. The senior center where I was a director, oh my goodness, I was just surprised at the number of square dancers, or the people that really wanted to do the polka, or that really wanted to do Zumba. So one thing about it, there's not just one single recipe for brain health. My mentor here with Alzheimer's is getting ready for an Ironman. There's a lot of training that goes on with that. So getting that heart rate up and doing the swimming and the biking and the running, that's not my idea of a lot of fun, but I'd be there cheering and maybe moving my arms for her. So good luck to you on that one, Hazel. And the next thing that we really want to know is, let's hear this video. I think you might all enjoy it. Can you get that one, Hazel? I'm not hearing it.
You can't hear that?
No, I can't.
Okay, let me try one more time.
Thank you.
Okay, let me take it back.
Go down,
Oh,
hit the treadmill.
stop, Woodley, stop.
It's
There we go.
surprising how you can easily build up habits of just taking 15 to 20 minutes out of your day to go down, hit the treadmill, and just do it. Just do it. Just get on it, put my headphones on, and just walk at a nice brisk pace for myself, build up a quick heartbeat, quick sweat, and it's amazing how quickly I can go from 15 minutes to 20 minutes, and then over time 30 minutes, and over time 40 minutes. Before you know it, you're up to 45 minutes of walking, and even at a higher incline and also at a higher pace. And again, it's all about incorporating habits in the choices that we make.
Well, that's for sure.
It's-
Absolutely. So when he said you start out doing something small, at the senior center, we used to have a dance on the second and fourth Saturday of every month. Maybe you would come to a dance and you dance once. And the next time, maybe you kind of like maybe 2 or 3 moves. And who knows, by the time you're all done, you might be dancing for the whole hour and a half. But the big thing is to start out doing something small and something that you really, really enjoy. And the big thing is to ask your friends to join you. But before you do any of this, we ask that you do check with your doctor before you start. If you want to start out walking, I'd love to share with you that come October 9th, we are going to be having an Alzheimer's walk. And if you'd love more information about that, go to alzheimers.org. I'd love for you to join us. So physical health and exercise, what can we do to improve our health and exercise? So if you're a smoker, wow, there's nothing worse than getting winded. Stop. If you have a glass of wine, not a problem. Just avoid excess. And what about sleep? Sleep is when the brain really recharges itself. And now, of course, when I was in a serious car accident, I would like to have avoided a head injury. So I suppose that might mean the people that are playing soccer or football or doing things with their head, when it comes to a car accident, you can't always control those things. How about managing stress? The big thing I've understood is that you certainly have to watch your sugar. Now, health and exercise, that's a key. Take a look at the lady who's just enjoying some Tai Chi, our yoga movement. I recommend those. And I'm sure with IRG, they could certainly help you with some special exercises as well. One other thing to help you, perhaps that can prevent dementia, Alzheimer's, is if you're going through some depression, discuss it with your doctor and let him or her know how you're feeling and check back with them regarding that. Always check with your doctor before you do that. So now I think we're having some things that you need to do to monitor yourself. You'll want to monitor your blood pressure. Just when you think, oh, I'm feeling just fine, you might not really be. You know, that's the hidden numbers. Monitor your blood sugar. How much intake do you really get of that? And have you had your blood checked to check your blood sugar? And your weight is a key factor, but the exercise can certainly help you. And get your cholesterol taken at least once a year. And if you're put on some medications, see if you can bring it down so that you don't have to. That's just a preventative measure. We'll do whatever we can, but again, work with your doctor on that one. That's really, really key. The next thing, again, diet and nutrition. I'll just go back to that one. If it's in a wrapper, don't eat it. If you have to peel it, go ahead. Hazel, I think we're stuck here.
So I'm sorry, Debbie, give me 1 second. My husband was trying to talk to me and distracted me. I sincerely apologize.
No problem.
Where
So
we
we do
at?
have another video. I'd love to share that with everybody.
All right.
And this is Marla Morris. So go ahead. Do we have the video for Marla? Okay.
Foods that have been shown to lead to healthy aging would be fruits and vegetables, and in particular green leafy vegetables and berries, as well as limited intake of high-fat food items that you get through high-fat dairy and cheese and red meats, and also healthy vegetable oils. So this would be olive oil would be a good example, have been shown to reduce your risk of heart disease as well as dementia.
Just when you thought you already knew what to eat, we're just going to go over it again one more time. So vegetables and fruits, nuts, beans, and whole grains, lean meats, fish and poultry, and vegetable oils. So I'm not sure, I've given up the regular vegetable oil and we do totally everything avocado oil or just olive oil for us. Saturated trans fat, I know there's nothing like a great French fry. Or processed foods, they come in a wrapper, so avoid those. Solid fat, sugar, and salt. And I'm a cookie monster from way back, and I just have to, I'm curbing myself slowly. deep fried foods. I'm not quite sure what the oil does to our body, but it's not good for us. Unhealthy fast foods. Yeah, we all like a burger and fries and a shake once in a while. However, it's been advised, if we can, just avoid it and think about your alternatives. So I liked what Martha Claire shared with us regarding what not to eat in food. So, and everybody, I just want to share with you, they just changed everything on all of our notes. So I just want to be real upfront with you. What I want to share with you is how media can really affect us as far as like, oh my goodness, there's a new vitamin out and it's going to improve your brain. It's going to improve your memory. Work with your doctor on that one. Sometimes there's something out there that we haven't heard about, but just because it says it on TV and it looks so good and everybody looks like a professional, unless it's really promoted by the Alzheimer's Association, because they do so much research based on donations and research, please. I've been a victim also of going, oh, wow, I could use those extra vitamins and a little extra energy. Work with your doctor. Tell them what you know. We don't want to think that just because it's been on TV with a well-known source, that it really, really works. So actually really work with your doctor on that one. So let's go over to cognitive activity, what that would actually mean. And I made a list of cognitive activities just so that you could kind of know like what's out there. What do you mean by cognitive? So I'm not sure if you ever thought about years ago, my parents would belong to a card club, and I never realized that, playing pinochle was so good for the brain, or playing bridge. And that seems to be something that's coming back around just slowly. Board games, reading, even playing some computer games, but not just to stay on, because some of them would get you way too focused and you would stop being socially engaged. Jigsaw puzzles are extremely great for cognitive activities. Going to the library and just sitting there, just kind of picking up a book from the shelf. Now that COVID is, a lot of their items have they're no longer just so secret that nobody can go to a library. So I'm glad that you can open up a book and engage. And book clubs are a good way to become socially engaged. I belonged to one for years and we stopped during COVID and we're just starting back up again. And I'm looking forward to the social engagement with all of that. Staying engaged. And
the most interesting.
Go ahead and listen to this gentleman. He's got something to share for you.
I'm sorry, Debbie. I was trying to advance it and it just plays
okay.
when I do that.
No problem.
Here we go.
Okay.
One of the most interesting factors is cognitive stimulating activities, which basically for us just means mental processing of information. It can be from a book, it can be from the radio, it can be a magazine, it can be from a lecture, it can actually be from watching TV. All of these things require processing information. And the old adage of, use it or lose it is actually something that turns out, at least from the observational data, to look like it's true. So numerous studies now have shown that being more engaged in cognitively stimulating activities is actually good for maintaining cognition. And it's true in late life, and it's true in early life. And so what we recommend is that you start early, and if you're already late, start now.
The gentleman that was just speaking to us was Dr. David Bennett, and he's the director of the Rush Alzheimer's Disease Center in Chicago. So we shared with you just new things that we can do just to stay cognitively engaged. There is something on the very bottom of the screen that says engage in ongoing learning. I'm not sure if anybody that is listening right now has heard of the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute. It's called OLI, and the University of Washington has offered classes. They have a grant and a trust from the Mr. Oshner, who decided that learning is not just for ages, 4 through 18 or 24. Learning is a lifelong skill. So they used to offer classes at the senior center, and hopefully they'll be bringing them back. And they were taught by professors from the University of Washington that were vetted by their fellow professors. And one of my favorites was called biomimicry. And it's where science today in the computer world really studied the wings of a butterfly and the colors also of an opal to see how screens were laid on top of each other, and a butterfly for how it flies, to like research for airplanes. And the wings on an airplane that used to at one time go up were decided, they changed them and they went flat. And that was all because of really biomimicry on how technology today mimics biology. Social engagement. I mean, some of you might be really socially engaged, but what does that exactly mean? Again, the book club, staying mentally sharp, doing crossword puzzles with a friend also is considered socially engaging, or dancing, talking to your partner, eating healthy snacks, and communicating. You can do all four at once. It's been associated with living longer, with fewer disabilities. So as a volunteer, I heard that you can live longer by volunteering. So I guess if I could just stay socially engaged, I can live longer and volunteer more. So I'd like to offer that to all of you too. What we know is that social engagement is associated with living longer. So stay engaged and become a volunteer. You can become a volunteer with Alzheimer's. You can become involved as a reader to seniors, as a reader in the public schools for the younger students that are having some problems. You can stay engaged if you're a veteran by reading to other veterans, by being socially engaged with other veterans. So I just would like to encourage you to do all of that as well. Visiting with family, visiting with friends, and keeping a conversation going. One thing I found out last year when I decided to host a garage sale was meeting all kinds of neighbors. And at the garage sale, all the proceeds went to the Alzheimer's Association. So I got to meet new neighbors. I got to stay socially engaged, and I got to volunteer for a great reason. So I'm doing what I can to stay alive and thriving, and think about what you might be able to do also. So find your passion. For years and years, I dealt with precious gems, and I told you that in the very beginning, but it wasn't my passion. I could try on all the rubies and sapphires and diamonds that I wanted to, but for me, there was not the passion that working with seniors or working with the Alzheimer's Association has done for me. One of the passion that we have is, I'm going to let somebody else talk to you about, I need to find out, Hazel, if we have from Dr. Thies, the senior scientist.
Yes.
Do we have his video? Let's go ahead with it if we can.
Okay, let me see. Trying to. Oh, there go my dogs. Give me 1 second. Okay, let's see. Here we go.
Recently, at the Alzheimer's Association International Conference, there was a study reported of the results of a large clinical trial that was done in the Scandinavian countries. And in this trial, they took half the people in the trial and they adjusted their exercise level, their diet, their social engagement, and their mental stimulation. They developed programs for each one of those variables, changed all of those for the people that were in the test group, and the control group just lived as they had been. There is a tremendous benefit to doing studies where we make changes and observe after the fact. That's a much stronger study than just observing people and trying to make judgments after life has changed for them. To my mind, one of the things that this has done is it's changed the force of recommendation that we might make around the benefit of these interventions for prevention of Alzheimer's disease or for brain health. And the fact is that I think it's moved it from possibly exercise, diet adjustments, social engagement, mental stimulation are useful, to probably. And that's a big change and makes it easier for people to make those kinds of adjustments for the
Oh, sorry. I don't know what happened. Here we go.
benefit of their future health.
That's great information, I think. So what can you do right now? You're listening to our video, you have some interest. So what are you going to do? So you can start today or first thing in the morning. But if you start right now by going and giving yourself a 5-minute walk, that might be great. Start small and build on that one. And do what you enjoy. If you don't enjoy going for a walk, do not do it. Get a bike. Get an exercise bike. Make healthy choices. Remember, if it's in a wrapper, forget it. If you have to peel it, that's a great thing. And make a plan. So by putting things down in writing, what are you going to do? You're making a plan so that you're hoping that we can prevent this terrible and this cruel disease. Get support from others. Tell your family if you have some questions about what's going on. And most of all, really, have some fun. Have some fun. Just remember, we'll wrap up what we just talked about. But if you hear about a vitamin that just sounds wonderful, it might be just too good to be true. Be cautious if you hear about miracle cures. Do your research, do your due diligence before you put it in your body and that stays there forever. And consult trusted, reputable professionals. Your doctor, your local pharmacist, I know, can have a lot more information based on what they've seen, and the Alzheimer's Association. And we'd always like you to know that we've got somebody on board 24/7 to help you with any questions that you might have. And we've got a free online education program available at training.alz.org. That's training.alz.org. There are support groups, and you could certainly call our 800 number. That's 800-272-3900. I want you to know also that the people that are on your helpline, they have masters in social work. They have dealt with people with Alzheimer's. They've dealt with family members, professionals, and coworkers. They've got answers to your questions. And if they don't, you'll find them to be the kindest people in the world looking for an answer. I mean, we are all looking for an answer, and we're all looking for a cure. But please remember, this is a free service and it's available around the clock. Again, that number is 800-272-3900. We also have a bilingual staff and translation services in over 200 languages. That is just absolutely incredible. If you have any questions, even about today, again, alz.org. Feel free to take a peek at that, and you can Google it. Now, I'd really love to turn this over to Hazel, but I do want to let you know about some of the online learning classes that we have. We do have one on the 10 warning signs of Alzheimer's, and then understanding Alzheimer's and dementia, the differences, or having a dementia conversation with a parent or a coworker or a friend or a relative. What will you say? There will be special communication strategies, and I'm going to share one with you that a good friend of our family currently is suffering with Alzheimer's. One daughter treats her one way and another daughter treats her another. For example, Maureen, our friend that has Alzheimer's, will say, did we get new furniture? One daughter might say, oh, Mom, we've had that there forever. You and Dad got it. Oh, and that just strikes a chord with her. And that's so sad because she doesn't remember that Dad, her husband, died a year and a half ago. And the other daughter might say, oh, you like the furniture? Well, that's good. And she might say, did you rearrange it? No, you didn't rearrange it. But if you like it that way, we'll leave it. So there's different conversations that you can really have. Another seminar that we have that's just incredible is legal and financial planning. If you had Alzheimer's, would you want to know? Before I became a volunteer, I didn't really know. I really didn't know. What I want to know if I was losing my mind or if I was losing the ability to function. And now that I have learned more from the Alzheimer's Association, yes, I would. If my friends came around and they would say, well, don't you remember we talked about that last time you were here? Or we discussed that at the last class reunion? No, that would frustrate me. Or what will I leave for my family? What will my plans be financially? How much will a place go? And if I know about these things, do you think I might take better care of myself now and watch the basics, my cognitive, my physical, my diet, my exercise? We would really want to understand how, as a volunteer or as a friend, how do you respond to these various behaviors? And we have run into more support groups, especially since the COVID pandemic has hit. If you've got any questions, again, please feel free to go to www.alz.org. Now we have another day that's coming up, and I'd love for Hazel to share that with everybody because she has experienced this. Hazel, would you share with everybody the longest day?
You know, there's a game that we play sometimes to see how many times we have to tell someone that they're on mute when on conference calls. So yes, the longest day, we like to honor caregivers and people with this disease on the longest day, which falls on the summer solstice, which is typically at the end of this month, at the end of June. And so it falls on the longest day. So the day with the most light, we like to say, is the day that we fight. And so basically the longest day, the event itself really caters to the fact that, you know, we can all enjoy a different activity to be able to help raise awareness and concern for this particular disease, regardless of where you are across the country, where your family members are, what sport, what hobby you enjoy. Everyone can partake in having a longest day event. And so that if that is, you know, a bowling match, you know, across the country through doing We Bowl, you know, go ahead and set that up. It's a great way to just bond with family, while again, bringing some attention to the cause. It's for a great cause. So if you want to register your team, you can visit us at alz.org and click on the longest day to sign up and register your team. I know that some people have a bridge game for the day. Other people have a barbecue for the day. Some people have gone and, you know, ridden a century maybe, or have gone for a walk with other family members on this day. So again, we encourage you guys to help us fight on the day with the most light by joining the longest day. And again, as Debbie said, you know, we do have community resource finder on our website, or a link to it. You can get connected to all of our other community partners and find care at home referrals, programs and events through AARP. You can find other community services with local community partners that we have to help you in your caregiving and diagnosed journey. We have some housing options and referrals for that, as well as medical services, a list of different medical professionals that you can go to for more help in this journey. And also, you know, don't forget, we've got our Alzheimer's Connected. Basically, this is, I'd hate to compare it to like a Facebook, because it's not like a Facebook, but I guess the closest that I can describe it as is it is a platform for you to be able to connect and talk to other people, because let's be honest, until you're going through a journey, oftentimes you may not truly understand exactly what that journey is, okay, until you're there yourself. And so this particular platform allows for families to connect with other people that are going through the same journey. I know my personal story and journey that brought me here to working at the Alzheimer's Association was being a caregiver for one of my sons, my second oldest son. He had a kidney transplant and has a blood disorder. And for the longest time, I mean, years, like probably 4 years post-transplant, I always wish that I had been connected with other moms, other young moms who had been going through that same journey. And it was just so hard to find them. You know, it was, oh, a friend of a friend knows a friend, you know, but how great is it that the Alzheimer's Association has this one platform for you to connect? You could go in there, you could, you know, share these experiences, share, you know, what works, what doesn't. You can find more information on, you know, connect with other people, caregivers, family members, friends. So again, we invite you to visit All's Connected on our website. And with that, I'd also like to let you all know that we've got our Alzheimer's Navigator. It's basically a free online tool that helps guide caregivers to, you know, what are some of the common questions that come up, and it helps family members really come up with a personalized action plan. What comes next? How do I tell my loved one? How do I plan for financial, you know, situations in the future? What are my care options? What about driving? Because when you think about it, driving is the one thing that identifies our independence. I mean, do you remember when you were young and you rode a bike and you could go all over town, you know? And same happens when you get your driver's license for the first time. It's, you get the keys and it's freedom, right? So, you know, to have that conversation with your loved one of you have to stop driving, I mean, you're taking someone's total independence away. Okay, so again, this particular tool, Alzheimer's Navigator, will help you in, you know, guiding you through these different topics and conversations, as well as planning. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Debbie and ask if anyone has any questions. Any questions? I know we still have a few people on here. We've got, let's see, we've got 3 attendees. Does anyone have any questions that you might be able to think of that we can maybe help answer for you in these last few minutes with you?
Is anybody here interested in walking on October 9th? It's our End Alzheimer's Walk. And maybe you don't want to walk. Maybe you would just like to help raise money. And we do have a lady that can just help you with that exactly. You can form a walk team that would all like to just raise money. But of course, we'd like to get the word out that we're walking for Alzheimer's. It seems like it makes more sense when it's the Alzheimer's Walk. But if you would like just to be part of something to raise money, join the neighborhood again, have a neighborhood cookout or a neighborhood block party and raise money also for the Alzheimer's. The exact date for this year's walk is October 9th. You could have it on that date if you'd like, or do something sooner and call it your Alzheimer's night out for dining with the neighbors. And with that, let's see if there's any questions.
I don't see any questions right now, so I think we're good to say that we can say farewell and thank everyone so much for joining this presentation today. This is great. Thank you for taking your time on such a beautiful, sunny, and gorgeous day, everyone.
All right, make a difference. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Debbie.
You're welcome.
Have a good night, everyone.